Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube as we take a look at Week 2 NFL, our contest video. Last week we went 2-3, but this week we look to improve. Kevin Rogers with you, and joining us this week, it is Holden Kushner. He is a sports betting and DFS analyst who is with us here to break down some of the games. And Holden, let's get right to it. Let's go to you for your first selection this week.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cardinals, 6.5-point favorites against the Washington football team. It's going to take me a long time to figure this out here, K-Raj. But, I think the Cardinals are ascending quickly. I think this is the third best offense in the National Football League when it's all said and done this year. Kyler Murray has just grown by leaps and bounds, and they finally got him, he's only been in the league 1 year. They got him the number one wide receiver they've been waiting for. There's only a handful of those guys in this league. And you saw him pepper Hopkins with 16 targets, 14 catches. I think he just missed on Christian Kirk. So I think that offense is just flying. He ran for 100 yards. The only reason it was 91 in the end because he had some kneel downs. But here's the deal. I think, for Washington, it was a horrible first half performance offensively. The one thing they can exploit is the middle of the field against the Cardinals, the team that gave up 16 touchdowns in 16 games last year. But last week they would have gotten gashed by Kittle, who had a knee sprain. He might not play this week. He had 4 for 44. So I think that defensively it looked a little better than it was because the top option for the Giants, for the Niners, I should say, was out. Washington's front seven is good, but they also look great because Philly's offensive line was completely decimated, and Philly might be getting a couple guys back this week. I just don't think that the Washington run game is there. They're trying with Peyton Barber. They're trying with Antonio Gibson. It's not working. I don't think Haskins can match Kyler Murray score for score. And ultimately, I don't think Washington can stop Chandler Jones in that pass rush. And I also think DeAndre Hopkins is going to have a monster game. I think they can beat him over the top with Christian Kirk. I just think there probably won't be a chance for the Redskins to get back in this game once they fall down. That's what I see happening. I love this Cardinals team, and I love them to win by at least a touchdown.
So Holden likes the Cardinals over Washington as the first pick. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions at Green Bay, and I know it's always scary taking this Lions team who melted down against Chicago this past weekend. DeAndre Swift had the touchdown catch in his hands, but he dropped it. The one thing I'll say about this Lions team, though, is that the last 2 years under Matt Patricia, they've lost the opener, but they played well in Week 2. They almost won at San Francisco 2 years ago. They covered as a 6-point dog, and last year they beat the Chargers at home in Week 2. So they have bounced back, and now we'll see if they can do so against a Green Bay team that looked very good offensively behind Aaron Rodgers in Week 1, their victory at Minnesota. But the Lions have played well against the Packers. They've covered 6 consecutive meetings. Remember that Monday night game last year? The Lions had opportunities to win. They lost by 1. I just think that Detroit here, that everyone is going to be down on them after the meltdown of Chicago, and everyone's going to be high on Green Bay. I'm going to take the points with the Lions here against the Packers as our second pick. Holden, our third pick is?
It's the Rams in a pick'em against the Eagles. This line moved a lot. It was +3. So you really got to grapple whether or not the Rams are a team that's going to win on the road. Now, here's something I heard you say. The Packers, maybe they aren't as good as they are. The people are going to look at that. Recency bias, right? And then the Lions. I think Aaron Rodgers was set up for success Week 1. And he's probably set up for success in Week 2, but I get the point on Detroit. Here's the deal with the Rams. So love them as a dog there, but I'm starting to move over even and pick them. Although that Philadelphia offensive line, even when healthy, is not a good offensive line. But Lane Johnson was not there last week. They're going to get Jason Peters. So that's 2 big additions offensively. And then Miles Sanders should be back too. So I look for this offense to be much better than it was last week. Wentz was sacked 8 times by that Washington defense. Absolutely amazing. But there's still issues with the interior of that line too. Aaron Donald should just be dominating in this game. I think Carson Wentz is not going down 8 times, but I could see 3-4 sacks again, maybe even 5. Can the Rams run against Philadelphia? That's the question. If they can run, the play action gets going. I do think with Malcolm Brown, I actually like Malcolm Brown. He's not a big explosive type of running back, but he's going to move the chains. Cam Akers in the mix too. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with these guys. A couple Philly pass rushers, Brandon Graham, concussion, Barnett, questionable. So they're banged up defensively. Ultimately, I just think the Rams linebackers with Fowler, Littleton, Matthews, they lost all those guys, but they do bring back enough talent where I think they're going to get pressure on Wentz. The running game will get going, lead into the play action. Give me the Rams in a pick 'em. Very unpopular play, by the way. Not a lot of people taking them. Once this thing went down, they're it's the Philly side. We're going on the Eagles side. I think there's some legitimate holes in that team, even if the offensive line gets a little better.
Now we'll see what the Rams can do a second straight week against an NFC East opponent after beating the Cowboys last week. And Holden has the Rams as our third pick. For the fourth pick, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. And yes, they've had a short week after winning at Denver on Monday night. Steven Gostkowski missed a couple of field goals. He kicked the game winner, though. But the Titans now 1-0, heading home to face Jacksonville. And the Jags picked up probably the biggest upset of week one by knocking off Indianapolis in a game where Gardner Minshew had one incompletion. But at the same time, you're not going to get all these interceptions from Ryan Tannehill like you have with Phillip Rivers. Just not the case, because Phillip Rivers is an interception machine that we've seen, even though he threw for over 300 yards in that game. But Derrick Henry last year against Jacksonville sliced them up, especially the game in Nashville. That was a low-scoring game in the first half. Then Tennessee exploded in the third quarter of that game. And the Titans, they're not in that Kansas City, Baltimore level just yet in the AFC, but Tennessee kind of hanging around. We saw what they did getting to the AFC Championship last year. I know it's a lot of points to lay on a short week, but I just can't depend on Jacksonville for a second straight week to put up this kind of performance. And the Titans with the running game, Tannehill doesn't throw a lot of picks. Tennessee very good defensively. I'm going to lay the points here with the Titans at home against Jacksonville for our fourth pick. Now, our fifth pick is a consensus between Holden and I. So we talked about this, and we landed Holden on the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, they are laying a touchdown against the Houston Texans, but obviously there's a reason for it.
Yeah, I just think, you look at the offense for the Ravens. Nobody's figured it out since the Chargers in the playoffs and what was that, Lamar Jackson's rookie year. So this offense is just unstoppable. What they put up last week, it was like 38-6. They're blowing everybody out. And listen, I watched Houston. It was nice to see David Johnson get back in the mix. But defensively, Mahomes didn't even tear him up. They got gashed on the ground. And we know what this team with the Ravens could do on the ground, too. I love it. They're shuffling in 3-4 running backs, just grind you down. Lamar Jackson can run for 100 yards. And we haven't even gotten to the defense yet. I mean, Deshaun Watson gets sacked a ton. I think this Baltimore defensive line, and even the linebackers, is going to get much pressure on him. That offense is missing DeAndre Hopkins. I think the Ravens are going to roll in this one.
And a couple numbers to throw at you also. Lamar Jackson, 9-2 on the road as the starting quarterback of the Ravens. Remember, the two worst performances he's had, that you talk about the Chargers in the playoffs and Tennessee last year, both at home, but on the road, he's performed well. And 6 times he's been a road favorite, 5-1 against the spread. And the only non-cover came against the Steelers in a win last year in overtime that they got the win, but they didn't cover the 3.5. So this Ravens team, I know a lot of people, Holden, are going to say, well, Houston, they're back at home, they're getting all these points, but Baltimore, we saw them last year against the Rams in prime time. They could score 40 at will if they want to.
Oh, no doubt about it. It really is the best offense in the NFL. I think Arizona, when it's all said and done, is going to rival them. I think the Chiefs obviously are going to rival them. Everybody's saying Jackson's the better quarterback. I mean, I'm still a Mahomes guy. Mahomes didn't even need to go off to get that win in week one, but this offense is devastating, man. And as long as Jackson has a healthy Marquise Brown to spread the field, this offense is just – we saw him do it without a healthy Marquise Brown last year, but, man, now you can go over the top with this guy. Jackson is extraordinarily accurate. Don't forget about that defense, man. I'm telling you, Watson's in for a long, long day. So I'm right there with you on the Ravens.
Now let's take a look back at our 5 selections for week number 2. We're going to go with the Rams against the Eagles, also Arizona against Washington, Detroit on the road at Green Bay, Tennessee laying points to Jacksonville, and the Ravens as a touchdown favorite against the Houston Texans. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For Holden Kushner, I'm Kevin Rogers. Thanks for watching, and best of luck with your bets.